Many of our great-grandparents were alive to witness the Great Depression, and it's something most everyone's heard about, but it's something that is far too off for many of our generation to even identify with. In all reality, it could happen again if we as Americans do not elect the right leaders. Our country could plummet. According to the NewYorkPost.com, a bill back in July was passed to raise the national minimum wage from $7.25 an hour to $15 an hour. It sounds great to work at McDonald's and get paid $15 an hour, but if you think about it, these jobs that people go to trade school, such as the LPN program, to go and get certified, or jobs that people have put years in to get the $15 an hour, it just isn't fair if not everything's going to be fluctuated. Not to mention prices will be raised. For states like California, it really won't be that significant of a change because their cost of living is so high that their minimum wage is already at $12 an hour. But for states like West Virginia, where the minimum wage is only $8.75 an hour, or states like Kentucky, that their minimum wage is still only $7.25 an hour, if those are raised to $15 an hour, our country will go, those states will just go into poverty. According to History.com, in the 1930s, after the Roaring Twenties, income inequality increased, and more than 60% of people were living below the poverty line. It was a result of the stock market crashing on October 29th, 1929. Not to mention, European countries had borrowed money off the United States to fight in World War I. Well, they couldn't afford to pay the United States back, so American banks panicked and had to stop loaning out to the Americans. And that was part of what caused the Roaring Twenties, was because people weren't allowed to charge on credit before, and now they were. So people went crazy on credit, and then whenever the stock market crashed, jobs were lost, and unemployment was at an all-time high. About 50 million Americans were left jobless, and those who still had their jobs watched their income shrink to a third. All of this was a result of Herbert Hoover's leadership. He led the country into such an economic crisis that people, when they had empty pockets, would turn them inside out and call them Hoover flags. Little town-like things of just tents and stuff of homeless people were called Hoovervilles. But whenever FDR, Franklin Roosevelt, took over, he managed to turn it all around. He passed a series of programs called the New Deal that is still used today, like the Social Security Administration. Later, when Pearl Harbor was attacked in 1941, the United States entered World War II, and that made production come to an all-time high. You had women that were able to work that weren't because their husbands were off in the war. It was a huge change into the United States as we know it today, and that is what many of our generation now doesn't realize.